Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Leading Change. My name is Emma, and I've got John with me, and we're going to be talking about AI and some of the perceptions within the insurance industry regarding the use of AI. But before I get into all the questions that I've got for you, John, can you give everybody an introduction?
Yeah, hello everyone. I am the co-founder and chief innovation and compliance officer for Charlee.ai. I'm in my second career of technology in the insurtech space. My first career was 32 years law enforcement in California, over 25 investigating insurance fraud crimes, both with the California Highway Patrol and the California Department of Insurance, the fraud division.
Great. Well, we're glad to have you here and tap into some of that, both like on the compliance side as well as co-founder hat for an AI company. And so I want to get the conversation started by just kind of asking, as you're out talking with carriers and customers and pretty much anybody within the industry, and you start talking about AI, what are you seeing in terms of kind of that perception of the technology and the way that it's being used?
Great question. So, I mean, in our journeys, just like within the last 2 to 3 years, AI has become a hot topic in the insurance space. The marketing geniuses have really done a great job at that. But with that, there comes some misunderstandings or confusions or misperceptions about how AI can work. I mean, you hear about people, they don't want to go into AI because they're afraid they're going to lose their job, or people will think that AI is going to solve a problem and replace a human interaction in the insurance business process, and not realizing that there's legislation and regulatory compliance that guides that business that may not allow that to happen. And then just like trying to understand people. How can AI help me? What is it that AI can do to make my job more efficient and produce better outcomes? And in that journey, like when we're talking with insurance leaders, we're making them aware. We're helping them understand what AI is in the context of insurtech, what it can do and what it can't do. And when we have those conversations, it's kind of like, like the proverbial light bulb goes on, like, oh, okay, now I get it. I can see how this can help fill in a gap that I'm struggling with in my business, whether it's on the claim side or underwriting side.
So I want to dive into a little bit of that idea of like, okay, so now that like aha moment happens and we start to really understand some of the value that it can bring into the organization. Can you talk about where you think that biggest opportunity is for us in kind of like helping to view AI differently and really solve some problems within an organization?
Sure. I mean, well, there's a few things. First things first, AI is not going to replace the human in the insurance business process. We have a saying at Charlee.ai, and that is, the AI is not going to replace your job, but the person using AI ethically and efficiently might replace your job. So everyone, it's kind of like we want everyone to take a breath and sit back and learn how AI can help them do their job better by providing some information that, may have taken in the traditional sense a while to acquire or realize. We call these insights, that allows them to make a better informed decision in processing that claim or trying to understand the risk when they're writing a policy and whatnot. Because it's like the old axiom, like, how do I know this is going to be a good customer? That everyday insurance companies struggle with. One of the things that we have to overcome first is, I think everyone is suffering from what I call the Hollywood effect of AI. In my prior life, we called it the CSI effect. Once you got into criminal trial in court, the jurors in the box, like, where are the lasers, where are the holograms, and you kind of got to bring some reality into it, and that's what we're doing with AI, bringing the reality through insurtech into the claims or underwriting process and helping people understand what it is, what it can do, and how it fits into your business process. So it's, think of it as, I like to think of it as AI is a great virtual claims assistant. They're going to help you. The AI is going to help you do your job more efficiently and better. and reveal some information that, one, it may take you a while to see in a traditional sense, or information that you've never known about before, insights that exist in your work process, your workflow, and being able to process that claim quicker, and move on. I mean, the longer the claim is open, the more expensive it's going to be. I mean, that's a time-tested axiom, and it is so true today, even in our technology-rich business process.
So now I want you to put that like compliance hat on, and I want to talk a little bit about your thoughts on regulation within the industry and how much it stands in the way of innovation. Because I feel like oftentimes when people are talking about innovation within insurance, we're really quick to kind of default back to like, well, it's such a regulated industry, it's so hard to change. And sometimes I feel like we might use it as a little bit of a scapegoat. So can you talk about your experience specifically working with regulators and kind of in that compliance realm?
Yeah, well, as a former regulator, a retired regulator, I understand what DOIs do and what they go through in regulating the industry. And people were afraid that regulators were going to come down and block innovation, and they were going to heavily regulate the use of AI. But that's not true. Here's the deal. So people will sometimes think of, oh, AI is a black box. It's a secret little black box working behind the scenes. We don't know what it does. We don't know how it does things to arrive at decisions. And this is bad. This is really bad. But that's far from the truth. In the business of insurance, which is heavily regulated, there's no black box. If you're using AI to help you process claims or come up with, a risk analysis of a potential client, and the DOI and a DOI does some type of market conduct exam or inquiry, you're going to have to show how you arrived at these decisions. And as long as you are doing that, and it's transparent, it's explainable, it's ethical, it's accurate, it's factual, and tells a cogent story, I think the regulators are going to be okay with that. And the regulators have already started the process of regulating AI. Colorado just last week introduced their first regulation for the use of AI in underwriting and life insurance only. The NAIC, which we've been working with for the last couple of years and providing training to the regulators and some feedback on the proposed draft model bulletin out of the H committee about how you can effectively hold insurance companies accountable for using AI, but still make it fair and transparent and not stifle the innovation. Because the regulators want innovation. And, and one of the things that's bothering me right now about this is that right now the insurance industry is going through a huge skills gap, right? And on the claims side, your most senior tenured claims examiners are retiring. They're walking out the door. And I don't think the insurance industry has done a good enough job capturing that institutional knowledge and getting ready for the skills gap. So in comes the new worker who has got to start catching up on the knowledge of how to process claims, the intricacies, the internal policies, understanding the lines of business, not below statutory deadlines, which can blow up the severity on your claims, things like that. AI can fill that gap right now and help the insurance company on the claims side not skip a beat if your senior, most accomplished claims examiner retires and walks out the door. So AI can help train, oversee, guide, and allow you to make better decisions.
Thank you for sharing that background and thought process on kind of regulation within this space. I think there's a lot of us, again, that default to that idea that regulation stands in the way, but being situated where you are with your unique experience, I think have an opportunity to shine a light on a different thought process of it. And I've actually sat in on some conversations with current regulators where they've echoed a lot of the same things. Like, we have a job to do. Our job is to protect consumers. That's why we're here. We want to make sure we're doing it the right way, but we also know consumers want this. So we're not here to stand in the way of it.
Exactly. And I tell people, if the AI needs to be, it's kind of like, the foundational pillars of a good AI platform in the business of insurance. It has to be ethical, accurate, factual, transparent, and explainable. And as long as that is done, and the AI company stands with the insurance company on any regulatory inquiry and can show or demonstrate this is how we resolved at these, arrived at these results, arrived at a decision. And first of all, I can't let this go. The machine should not make the decision in replace of the human, in my mind. The machine needs to provide insights and information so the human can make a better informed decision. Because it's the human that could end, worst case scenario. I mean, the insurance company gets sued, you go to court, you can't put the computer on the screen, and ask the computer questions. The human is going to be on the witness stand and asking and answering questions.
And we're going to see some of that play out here soon, because there's a number of cases that are being tried right now with kind of discriminatory practices from AI tools. And again, to your point, it's not the software sitting on the stand getting questioned or being sued.
Right.
It's the people behind all of it.
Yeah, the bias, how AI and people will say, oh, you can't use AI because it's biased. Well, okay, humans are humans, and in humans there's bias. But what you have to be careful of when you're training a computer from the start, and in computers, I kind of like to say, computers are like a kindergarten. They don't know anything. You're going to teach them and you're going to train them, right? They don't know the difference between right and wrong until you tell them.
Yeah.
And so, right. So that's where, it's critical to build into your AI platform, consciously being aware of bias, eliminating it, guarding against it, and making sure that it doesn't slip into that process.
Well, thank you so much for joining me for the discussion, John. And if you're not already, make sure you're following him and Charlee.ai on LinkedIn and any other platform, and certainly reach out to either one of us if you've got any questions. But thank you again for joining me, John, and have a wonderful day, everyone.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Leading Change. If you liked what you saw, be sure to subscribe and come back weekly for more expert interviews on digital transformation, change management, and emerging technologies.